Yes, we were discussing data types in C, right? In the previous class, I think we completed data, that is local variable types in the function. We analyzed different versions of data packet checksum routine, and we understood that using char or short data type for local variables, it is going to increase the code size and it reduces the performance. So we also saw that converting local variable types from char or short to integer type, it is going to increase the performance and it reduces the code size. This is what the analysis we made with respect to local variable types in the previous class, right? And now we are going to discuss the next topic, that is function arguments. So whatever the points we listed with respect to local variable types, same thing holds for function arguments also. That is, instead of taking char or short data type, if you are taking integer data type for the function arguments, then it is going to increase the performance and it reduces the code size. So that we are going to analyze with the example codes, okay, C codes. So let me start. Coming to the next topic, that is function argument types. So here we are going to consider an example function which is going to add two 16-bit values by halving the second value, and we are going to add those two values and the sum is written, which is 16-bit. So that's what we are going to see in this routine. So for understanding what should be the function argument types, a simple example routine is considered. It is the routine which receives two arguments, say A and B are the formal arguments that are received to the function. The data type of these two arguments are short type. Short means it is signed 16-bit. Okay, the data type assumed for A and B, it is short. Okay, and after performing the addition, we are returning the result. Result should also be of short type. So what is the operation performed within this routine? The second number held in B, that is right shifted one time, that is we are trying to half the value held in B. We are adding that result to A and we are going to return this result to the calling function. So this is the simple routine considered. And here, what you have to understand here is the input values A, B as well as the return value. So you know that all these values will be held in the register, which is of 32-bit. You know, in ARM, all the registers are of 32-bit, and whatever the arguments they are passing, in our example, it is AB, the formal argument, and once the result is computed, that result will also be held in a register. The result will be returned to the calling function through register only, where registers are of 32-bit. So here, what is the question is, whether the compiler should assume that whatever the 32-bit value which are held in the registers, are they in the range of 16-bit? That is minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. Is it in that range, or the compiler, should it force that value held in the register to that short range? Short range in the sense that is the signed 16-bit range. So how actually the compiler should decide about this? So since the arguments passed are of short data type, so whether compiler has to assume that the data held in this these registers, okay, is it in that short range, or compiler should it write the instructions to force the value held in the register to be in the 16-bit range? So here the compiler has to make the decisions in case of the calling and called function. Here they use the terminology function caller and function callee. Callee means there is a called function. Function caller means there is a calling function. So either the calling function or the called function must perform the casting, explicit type casting. Okay, some instruction has to be added either in the calling function or in the called function to convert the 32-bit value held in the register to the 16-bit. Okay, so and here we use the terminology wide and narrow with respect to the function argument passing. So let me just list out that. See, we say that the function arguments are passed wide if they are not reduced to the range of the type, okay, of that specified type, and we say that the function arguments are passed narrow if they are reduced to the range of the type. So what is the meaning of this? So if the compiler assumes that the function arguments A, B are passed wide, meaning within the called function it has to do the conversion, or it has to reduce the size of the value held in the register to 16-bit. So if the compiler assumes the arguments passed to the function are wide, okay, Wide meaning in the calling function, their values are not reduced to the range. In the called function, that has to be taken care of. We have to, that's the compiler has to see that in the called function, the instructions are written to reduce the value held in the register to that specified range. Okay, that is the meaning of passing the function arguments wide. What actually mean by passing the function narrow? So that means already in the calling function itself, the arguments values are reduced to that specified range, and that value is passed as formal parameter here. Okay, so that is the meaning. So we say that function arguments are passed wide if the values held in the variables, they are not reduced to the range of that specified type, and we say that the function arguments are passed narrow if they are reduced to the range of that type. So if you just see the compiler output, that is assembly output for the C code, or any assembly output, it may for different compilers, if the assembler output may be different. So if you try to analyze the assembler output generated for this C code, simple C code, you can easily find out what decision the compiler has taken, whether it has assumed that the formal arguments are passed wide or formal arguments are passed narrow, or the return value has been passed narrow to the calling function, or whether it is passed wide to the calling function. So that decision what compiler has taken, we can easily tell by looking into the assembly code. Okay, so these are the possibilities. So we can tell that which decision the compiler has made, as I told, by looking at the assembly output for this routine. So if the compiler passes the argument wide, what is the meaning? That means the no conversion has been done in the calling function. Then who has to take care of reducing the function arguments to the correct range? That is a called function. Here we use the term callee. Callee means the called function must reduce the function arguments to the correct range. Okay, if the compiler is passing the function arguments wide, that means the values are not reduced. It is 32-bit value only held in the register. That has to be reduced to the correct range in the called function. So if the compiler passes the arguments narrow, that means in the calling function itself, the conversion has been done to a 16-bit range. So the called function need not worry about that. Already it is done by the caller, okay, or the calling function. So this is with respect to passing the arguments. Either we can the compiler can pass the arguments wide, or it can pass the arguments narrow. If it is passing the arguments wide, then called function must reduce the function arguments to the correct range. If it is passing the arguments narrow, meaning in the calling function, the range has to be reduced. Similarly, same thing holds with respect to return value. So once the result is computed, if the compiler returns the value wide, so that means in the called function, it is not reducing the value to that short range. In the calling function, it has to write the instruction for reducing the return value to the correct range. So if it is passing the return value narrow, meaning in the called function, the value must be reduced, okay, before that is returned to the calling function. This is what we can analyze with the assembler output. So once the C routine is given and the assembly output, if we just look into, you can see what decision the compiler has made, whether the arguments are passed narrow or wide, or whether the return value it is passed wide or narrow. That's what we can look into. So for this routine, now we shall see the ARM CC compiler output. Okay. So here, what this routine shows is the compiler casts the return value to the short type, but it doesn't cast the input value. What it means? Input values are not reduced to the size mean. Compile here by seeing that output, what you can interpret is the compiler is passing the arguments narrow, and it is passing the return value narrow to the calling function. So that means for the input arguments, conversion or the reduction of the range of value is not done. Only for the return value, the type casting, explicit casting is done. Okay, since here ARM CC compiler assume that the return value is passed narrow. So passing return value narrow means in the called function itself, instruction must be there to reduce the value, 32-bit value what you get to 16-bit value range. Okay, that is the meaning of passing return value narrow. So passing arguments narrow means in the calling function, the conversion has been done, that is to the specified range. In the called function, no need of worrying about the reducing the, there is a range of values of that input arguments. Just after performing the operation, the result has to be reduced to that short range, and that value has to be returned to the calling function. So this is the ARM CC output. Okay, so we are trying to analyze the compiler output with respect to ARM CC compiler and GCC compiler. Okay, here ARM CC compiler, it assumes it is narrow passing of the arguments and narrow returning of the value. Just try to analyze this code here. Okay, is the same routine whatever I showed in the previous slide. For this, this is the operation to be performed. First, B value, and one more thing you can notice here is two arguments are passed to this function. The names of the arguments are A and B, and which registers are allocated for these two variables. It is R0 and R1. R0, this is allocated for the first formal argument A, and R1 register is allocated for the second argument B. Okay, R0 and R1 registers are allocated for these two formal arguments. And what is the operation to be performed? First, the value held in R1 has to be right shifted one time. That means we need to half the value held in B, and that result has to be added with A. Just see what is the operation performed here. And short data type, if you are using means it is signed 16-bit. So since it is signed 16-bit, whenever you are reducing the data by half, you need to perform arithmetic right shift, since we are dealing with signed integer. Okay, so just see the first instruction in this compiler output you are seeing is add R0, R0, R1, ASR #1. So this is the operation performed. So what is the meaning? R1 content is taken, which is B value, that is arithmetic right shifted one time so that the data is reduced to half, and that value is added with R0 register, and the result, final result what you get, that is stored in R0 register. Here you can observe the compiler is not adding any instruction for reducing the input argument size to 16-bit range. So that is not done. Since it is interpreting, the arguments are passed narrow. That means in the calling function, the values are reduced to 16-bit. Okay, and here in the called function, it simply performs the operation, that is A plus B right shift one time, and before returning the result to the calling function, since it assumes the value is returned narrow, it is going to convert that result that is held in the register R0, which is a 32-bit result, that to 16-bit range it reduces, and that will be returned to the calling function. So that's what the statements you have seen in the previous class also. These are the two statements for doing that reduction of the range, 32-bit range value, that to be reduced to 16-bit range. So how actually it is done? They take the result held in R0, logical shift left 16 times. Okay, so higher order 16-bit will be lost. After that, we are performing arithmetic right shift 16 times. Okay, so this does the explicit casting of the result to short type. Okay, so these are the two instructions which are used for doing that casting. And finally, once the conversion is done, we are returning the control to the calling function, where the link register content is copied to PC and the control is returned to the calling function. So this is what you can analyze. Just see, I have highlighted the code inserted. So ARM CC compiler has inserted these two instructions. Since the formal argument type taken is of short data type, extra instructions are added in the compiler output for reducing the range of value held in this register to 16-bit. That is the short range. So those are the two instructions that are inserted. So same routine, if you see for this same routine add underscore v1, if you see the GCC compiler output, so just we shall analyze that. So ARM CC compiler output we saw where the arguments are passed narrow and the return value is again sent narrow, meaning no conversion done for the arguments, but the return value is reduced to 16-bit range and that is returned. In case of GCC compiler, it makes no assumption about the range of the argument values. Okay, so that means in this version of the compiler, it reduces the input arguments to the range of short, not only in the calling function, but also in the called function, caller and callee. In both of these two places, it does the reduction of the value, okay, and it also casts the return value to the short type. So this compiler is not going to make assumption that the conversion has been done in the calling function, a conversion will be done in the called function. So once the control comes to the function definition, in the function definition, the whatever the formal arguments received, if it were to be of short type, it does the conversion of those two argument values to 16-bit value range, and that will be used for performing the operation. Once the result is computed, that result will also be reduced to 16-bit, and that will be returned to the calling function. So this is what the GCC compiler is going to do. So that's what we are analyzing in this compiler output. See, it is the same routine. Return type is short. Name of the function is add underscore v1, and these are the two arguments that are received: short a comma short b. So the instruction that is executed is return a plus b right shifted one time. So as I told, the formal arguments must be reduced to 16-bit range. So how it is done in this code, you can analyze. As I told, R0 register is allocated to variable A, and R1 register is allocated to variable B. Just see here, in common we are performing the arithmetic right shift, that we shall see later. What is the first operation performed? Before to that, you should know what are the two operations to be performed for reducing the 32-bit value held in the register to 16-bit signed range. So what are the two statements? We need to perform logical shift left 16 times, and then arithmetic shift right 16 times if you do. And in that case, the value, 32-bit value will be reduced to 16-bit signed range. Okay, so that operation we are doing here. R0 content is taken. Let me just mark it here. See, R0 is having a value. It has a logical shift right, left 16 times. So LSL hash 16. 16 times we are left shifting a value held in R0 register, and result is stored in R0 register. So this is what the operation performed. So next we are repeating the same for R1 register, which holds the B value. So R1 is having B value. We are performing logical shift left 16. R1 content is taken. It is left shifted 16 times, and the result is stored in R1 register. So this is what the operation performed. Now we have to perform arithmetic right shift 16 times on R0 and R1. Anyway, we need to reduce the B value by half. Okay. So what we are doing is, instead of arithmetic right shifting 16 times, we are performing arithmetic right shift 17 times. Since we not only need the 16-bit signed range, we also need to reduce the value held in the R1 register by half. So how actually it is done? One more time you perform the right shift. In addition to 16 times right shifting, we are performing 17 times. Say R1 content is taken. It is arithmetic right shifted 17 times. That 16-bit value held in R1, that is to be right shifted one time. So that's why in addition to 16, one more time we are doing. The total value shift amount, it is 17. So arithmetic right shift 17. So what it does, B value, the 16-bit value held in the R1 register, that will be reduced by half. Okay. After that, what we need to do, we need to add this value to the 16-bit value held in R0 register. So so far we have performed only logical shift left 16 times on R0. We have not yet performed arithmetic right shift on R0. So that's what we are doing in this instruction. See, R0 content is taken, arithmetic right shift 16 times, so that the value will be reduced to signed 16-bit range. That value is added with R1, and the result is stored in R1 register. See, here GCC compiler is not making any assumption about the range of the argument value. So in the function definition, what you are observing, the function argument values are being reduced to 16-bit range. R0 value is first left shifted 16 times, and here you can see it is right shift, arithmetic right shifted 16 times to reduce the range to 16-bit or the short int range. Similarly, R1 content is left shifted, logical shift left 16 times, and arithmetic shift right 16 times we have to do. In addition to 16 times, one more time we have to do, since we have to reduce the value of R1 register to half. That's why 16 plus 1, it is 17 times we are performing arithmetic right shift, and these two data we are adding, and result is stored in R1 register. The final result is in R1 register. We need to reduce this value to 16-bit range. After performing the addition, if it is the range is exceeding, it has to be reduced to 16-bit range. So for that, these are the two instructions that are executed. You know the two instructions for reducing the 32-bit range to 16-bit range. It is, see, R1 content is taken, logical shift left 16 times, store it in R1. And as you know that the result will be returned to the calling function through R0 register. Compilers usually make use of R0 register for sending the computed value to the calling function. So here R1 content is taken, logical shift left it 16 times, and next we are performing arithmetic right shift 16 times on R1. The result is stored in R0 register. Just see, the value is held in R0 register, and the control is written to the calling function by loading PC with the link register content, the return address. So this is how the GCC compiler has implemented this C code. Okay. So what you can notice, two compiler outputs we just analyzed. In the first compiler output, where ARM-CC compiler has generated the output for the same C code, where it has assumed the arguments are passed narrow, whereas the return value is also passed narrow. That means in the called function, only the reduction is done to the return value. Whereas in this output, what you are seeing is the reduction of the value is done not only to the return value, but also to the formal arguments A and B. So this is what you are seeing in this GCC compiler output. Okay. So this is about the function arguments, and what you can infer from this: better not to take the function argument types as short or character type. You need to go for integer type, so that additional instructions or extra instructions for explicit casting can be removed. Okay, that is what the interpretation or the final conclusion you have to make with these two compiler outputs. Okay, so that's what I've specified here. You can see that char or short type function argument and return values, they're going to introduce extra casting means explicit conversion to the specified range. For that, additional instructions are inserted in the compiler output. Okay, this is going to increase the code size as well as it decreases the performance. So it is efficient if you are going for using integer data type for the function arguments. So that's what the final conclusion you have to make. So we had already discussed in the previous class regarding the local variables within a function. Local variable types we have to consider as of integer type rather than character or short data type, since extra instructions will be added for casting, which is going to increase the code size and decrease the performance. Same thing holds for function arguments also, where we have to avoid char or short type function arguments, and we need to prefer integer type for the function arguments as well as the return values, so that these additional instructions for casting will be removed. Okay, this is what the conclusion you have to make. So this completes function argument types. So now before winding up these data types, we have to discuss one more topic, that is signed versus unsigned type. Okay, already we have seen function arguments, what type you have to consider, and local variable, what should be the data type. So coming to the difference or the efficiency with respect to signed and unsigned types. So you'll not see any efficiency or performance difference with respect to addition, subtraction, or multiplications. Okay, so if you are performing in the routine some addition operation, subtraction and multiplication operation, in that case you will not find any performance difference between the signed and unsigned operations, but you will see the difference when it comes to the division. So if you are using signed data type, so what is the efficiency, and if you are going for unsigned data type, whether to prefer signed or unsigned, so that efficiency we are talking with respect to division operation. Okay, in a function, if you are performing other than division operations, arithmetic operation, then you'll not see any performance difference. But if you are performing division operation with signed data type, in that case it is going to insert some additional instruction, okay, for getting the correct result. So this can be avoided by going for unsigned data type for division operation. So this is what the inference we are going to make finally. So that we are analyzing with a simple code where we are going to compute the average of the two numbers. That is a simple problem that is considered, for which we'll see the C routine and the compiler output for the C. Okay. See, consider the following short example routine that averages two integers and the compiler output for the same routine. So here on the left hand side, you are seeing the routine. Say return type is int, name of the function is average underscore v1, and it receives two arguments of integer type. These are the two formal arguments for this routine, that is a and b. As you know that for the first argument r0 register will be allocated, for the second argument r1 register will be allocated, and finally the result whatever computed, that will be returned to the calling function through r0 register. So normally compilers will make use of these registers in order. Okay, first argument r0 register gets allocated, for the second argument r1 register, and the return value for that which register will be used by the compilers, it is r0 register. Okay, just see the compiler output for this, and you can observe here we are trying to perform the division operation. Two input numbers are added and we are trying to perform the division operation, and here it is signed integer we have taken as function argument. So if you are performing that is a division operation with respect to signed integer type, what is the inefficiency you are finding, that we are trying to analyze with this code. We'll see here, just see the compiler output, average v1, it is the routine name here, and the first operation performed here is add r0 comma r0 comma r1. That means to perform the division operation, first the input numbers are to be added. r0 and r1 content are added, where r0 holds the a value and r1 is holding the b value. So these two values are added and the result is stored in r0 register. So after that, you need to divide the value by 2. You know ARM doesn't support any division instruction. So if you want to divide in powers of 2, then what we need to perform, since it is signed operation, we have to perform the arithmetic right shift. So signed data we are taking in A and B. So that's why arithmetic right shift we have to do to perform the division operation. That this concept you all know, right? So here just observe what compiler has done before performing the arithmetic right shift. See, one additional instruction it has added. What is the operation expected? We need to add the two input values and we have to divide the result by 2. So since it is signed integer held in the input variables, we need to perform arithmetic right shift. What we expect the compiler to do, we'll see that addition operation is performed on R0 and R1, and finally the result in R0 is arithmetic right shifted one time, so that we'll get the average in R0 register. So this value will return to the calling function. But in addition to that, compiler has added one instruction, that is add r0 comma r0 comma lsr hash 31. Okay, so when actually this will be useful is after performing the addition, if the result is negative. So if you get a negative result, in that case, to get the correct result, okay, that is once you perform arithmetic right shift, you have to get the correct result. To achieve that, compiler is adding 1, okay, integer 1 to the result. After performing the addition, you know r0 is having the result. To that result, 1 is added, okay, so that once you right shift that result, you will get the correct, once you perform arithmetic right shift to that result, you will get the correct value. Okay, just to get the correct value, this is the additional instruction compiler has added. When this is useful, if the result of addition is negative, if it is negative result, to get the correct result once you perform arithmetic right shift, compiler has added one instruction, that is the add instruction. What it is doing is, it is adding 1 to the result of addition, and that result is arithmetic right shifted one time. So how it is performing this operation, just see, r0 content is taken. What r0 holds? It is the sum of two input integers, and we are performing logical shift right 31 times. So if it were to be negative result you have got, after adding the two numbers, if you get a negative result, what will be the sign bit? Can anyone tell what will be the sign bit if you get negative result? Just see, we are performing logical shift right 31 times. If R0 is having negative value, What will be the sign bit? Sign bit will be 1 or 0? Are you all there? Can anyone respond? What will be the sign bit? Yes. What will be the sign bit? It will be 1, right? Are you all following? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, if you don't respond, I cannot come to the conclusion whether following or not. Kindly respond. Okay. So here you can see compiler has added one instruction add, and when this is useful is if the result of addition is negative. So when you perform arithmetic right shift on negative number, you have to get the correct result. So for getting the correct result, compiler has used this instruction. It is going to add 1 to the result of addition, and that result will be arithmetic right shifted one time. So as I told, we are considering two scenarios where the result of addition is negative. If it is so, R naught will be having negative value with sign bit as 1, and if that data is logical shift right at 31 times, then you will get the value 1. Logical shift right means as many times we are shifting towards right, the least significant bits will be lost and the MSB will be filled with 0. This is logical shift right. Well, 31 times if you are right shifting means the sign bit, whatever you are having, that will be appearing at the least significant bit position. Yes or no? So that means we are trying to add that result of logical shift right, that is added to the R0 register content, and that result is stored in R0 register itself. So what is the operation we are trying to perform? If a negative result is there in R0 register, we are adding 1 to that result, and that result is stored in R0 register. So if it were to be positive result, that is held in R0 register, in that case when you perform logical shift right 31 times, in what is the value you will find in what's the value you are going to get as result of logical shift right? It is 0. Sign bit will be 0. Right shifted 31 times means the result of logical shift right will be 0. 0 added to the result held in R0 register means it is not going to affect the value. Final result is stored in R0 register. So when actually 1 will be added to the R0 register which holds the sum if the result is negative. Okay. So this is what the manipulation compiler is doing, and then it is the same operation to reduce the value, the result of addition to half. It is going to perform arithmetic right shift one time. Okay. So that is the operation performed here. Move R0 comma R0 comma ASR hash 1 for performing the right shift operation. And finally, the result held in R0 register is written, and the control is written by loading PC with the return address. Okay. So what I can observe here, see, notice that the compiler adds 1 to the sum before shifting by right if the sum is negative. So that's what I explained. In other words, it replaces x by 2. X is nothing but the sum of two numbers, a plus b. The result we are interpreting that as x here. So x by 2, the division operation is performed, and that is replaced by this statement. So what is the meaning here? If x is less than 0, after performing the addition of two numbers, if the result is less than 0, then what we are doing is we are adding 1 to that result, and that is right shifted one time. But if x is positive, then just right shifting by one time is done. Arithmetic right shift one time is done. Okay, only if the sum is negative, it first adds 1 to that result and then it performs the arithmetic right shift one time. If it were to be positive, then it simply performs the right shift. So why actually this has to be done? See, just see here. It must do this because x is signed. Okay, result of two signed numbers. It is signed result you are getting. In C on an ARM target, a divide by 2 is not right shift if x is negative. Just see with an example you can see here. In ARM, Since there is no division instruction supported, we need to perform the arithmetic right shift for performing the division in powers of 2, correct? So here if you are performing division by 2, it is not just right shift. You cannot simply perform right shift to get the correct result. That's what the statement means. See this example, you'll get clarity. -3, assume if this is the result you have got. Yeah, after adding the two input numbers, if you get -3 right shifted one time, what is the result you will get? It is -2. This is not the correct result. What should be the result if you perform? Just say if you do the division -3 by 2, you will get -1. Actual division if you do, you should get -1. But if you perform arithmetic right shift on this negative result, you are getting -2. So when you perform arithmetic right shift here, the result is rounding off towards, that is infinity. But if you are performing division, the result will be, that is the division result will be rounded off towards 0. That's what you can see with this example. So -3 right shifted, arithmetic right shifted one time has resulted in -2. So this is rounding towards minus infinity, whereas division, it is rounding towards 0. So that means we should not take signed data type whenever you are going for division. If you are taking signed data type, see, compiler is going to add 1 to the result before performing the arithmetic right shift. So for that, it is casting extra instruction here in the compiler output. So this is inefficient. So code size is increased and it is going to decrease the performance if you are going for signed data type for performing division operation. So this is what the final conclusion you have to make whenever it comes to the division operation in a routine. So see that the data type you are taking is unsigned data type, not signed data type. If you are taking signed data type, then so compiler is going to add 1 to the value held in the register, and then it performs the arithmetic right shift operation, which is casting extra instruction, which increases the code size and reduces the performance. So that's what you need to understand. To better understand, I've prepared a table. So you can see if it were to be negative result, to get the correct result, how actually the compiler has used that additional add instruction. You can see the same example I'm taking here. Assume the result of addition is -3. Okay, what is the result you are expecting once you divide it by 2? You need to get -1 as the result, not -2. What you have to get is -1. When you perform arithmetic right shift, you should get the result as -1. How that is done, we'll see. Just see this tracing. Assume that the result of adding the two numbers is negative. Okay, just see here. It is -3 I have assumed. The instruction after performing the operation, add R0, R0, R1. The first instruction in that compiler output, it is add R0, R0, R1, where R0 holds the A value and R1 holds the B value. The result is stored in R0. If we assume that R0 is having -3, so result of addition is negative here. What is the binary representation for -3? See, it is all ones. In the least significant 2-bit, you can see it is 0, 1. Let me just highlight here. See, 0, 1. All ones, 0, 1. So this is the binary representation for -3. Here, since the result is negative, see whether the result is positive or negative, the next instruction that gets executed is add R0, 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 LSR #31. So this is the instruction that will be executed whether the result is negative or positive. So here in our example, we have taken a negative result, and we shall see after execution of this instruction what is the result. Okay, just see what is the result you are going to get. The value in R0 is, that is all ones. In the least significant, it is 0, 1. When you right shift it, logical shift right 31 times, just see what is the value you got. This is the value. All zeros, the sign bit will be appearing at the LSB. That's what you can see here. So this is in the first row in this table. Okay, this first row, what you have to see is the result of performing logical shift right. So logical shift right 31 times, the R0 content means you'll get the value as 1. Then what is the R0 content? It is all ones here, 1, 1, 1. in the least significant, it is 0, 1. If these two are added, okay, what is the result we'll get? That is seen in the third row here. All ones and least significant bit is 0. So this is actually minus 2. After adding 1 to the result, okay, that is held in the R0 register, you will get the value as minus 2. Okay, and then this value is right shifted, arithmetic right shifted one time. Okay, so that you can see in this table. See, the first instruction it is executed is add R0 comma R0 comma R1. Addition is done. Then whether it is the negative result or positive result you get, this is the additional instruction it has executed. Since it is signed integer type we have taken, we are adding 1. If it were to be negative, compiler adds 1 to that result in held in R0, and that result is stored in R0. Finally, arithmetic right shift is done to R0 register for reducing the data to half. So if it were to be positive, then 0 is added. After the result of logical shift right will be 0. Okay, that is added to R0 register, which doesn't affect the value held in R0. Arithmetic right shift one time will reduce the value to half. So this manipulation is done if the result is negative. That's what you are seeing. If result of addition is negative, just see this ternary expression. It clarifies the doubt here. X plus 1. 1 is added, then that is right shifted. If it is positive, in that case, it simply performs the right shift operation. So to understand this, I have prepared that table. Okay. So this is what the result after performing the arithmetic right shift one time. Just see what is the result you got. If you just right shift, arithmetic right shift this value one time. So this 0, least significant bit will be lost and MSB will be filled with the sign bit. So what is the final result you'll get? It is all ones. All ones means what is the decimal value it is representing? It is minus 1. Minus 3, if you just right shift, arithmetic right shift one time, you'll get the result as minus 2. But that is not the correct result. What is expected is minus 1. So to do this correction, compiler has added 1 to that result. Okay, and then that is arithmetic right shifted one time. So if it were to be positive result you'll get after adding the two sign numbers, assume plus 3 you have got after adding A and B values. In that case, if you perform logical shift right 31 times, see, you'll get zeros. All zeros you'll get. That means we are trying to add 0 to the R0 register, which holds plus 3. Plus 3 plus 0 will result in plus 3 itself. This is arithmetic right shifted one time. When you right shift, that is when you perform ASR one time on plus 3, what is the final result you'll get? It is plus 1. It is correct. Whether you perform division, normal division in arithmetic right shift, the result will be the same. But when it comes to negative result, okay, in that case, if you simply perform arithmetic right shift, result will not be correct. So some correction the compiler does. If it were to be the negative result, it is going to insert one add instruction to increase the value, that is to that result, 1 is added, and whatever the result will get after adding 1, that is taken for arithmetic right shift. So this is what you have to understand here. Okay. So what is the final conclusion with this? See, it is more efficient to use unsigned types for division, okay, rather than signed data type. So compiler, if it were to be unsigned data type used for the arguments for performing the division operation, then it doesn't add that instruction for increasing the, it won't add 1 to that result. Directly it performs the arithmetic right shift. So directly it can perform the right shift operation. Arithmetic right shift is also not required since the result will be unsigned. It can simply perform logical shift right to half the value to perform the division in powers of 2. So what is the final inference you have to make with respect to signed versus unsigned type? Which is more efficient? It is unsigned data type which is more efficient when it comes to division operation. Okay, this is what you have to remember. So far what we have discussed with respect to local variables, you need to avoid using character or short data type. You have to go for integer data type. And with respect to function arguments, what you have to remember, Avoid using char or short data type. Make use of integer data type for function arguments. Similarly here, with respect to division operation, where if it were to be to choose either signed or unsigned type, go for unsigned data type, since it reduces the code size and it increases the performance when it comes to division operation. So directly it performs a right shift. It won't add 1 to the result and then that is not right shifted as it did it for signed result. Okay, so this is what you need to understand. So this completes efficient use of C data types topic. Let us just summarize what we have discussed, okay, on this topic. These are the important points you have to remember with respect to the C data types. So for local variables, don't go for using carry a short data type unless you want a wraparound to occur. So that means if you want 8-bit range to be repeated infinitely or 16-bit range, that is the modular arithmetic if it is required, then only go for char or short data type. Otherwise, don't prefer char or short data type. Make use of, instead you have to make use of signed or unsigned type, okay, for local variables. And the next point is unsigned types are faster when you use division. That's what we discussed in the previous slide. If it were to be division operation you are performing, go for unsigned data type, which reduces the code size. Okay, and these are the points you have to remember with respect to local variables. Don't prefer char or short data type. Use either signed or unsigned integer data type. The unsigned integer type is faster when you go for division operation. And one more point you have to remember is avoid using offsets from the base of the array with short type arrays. So that means if you are going for indexing method, so we saw the data packet checksum routine where we use the statement as sum is equal to sum plus data of I, where the base address is kept constant and index values increased. So in that case, since LDRH instruction supported in ARM doesn't support scaled immediate offset addressing mode, here compiler has to add one more instruction to get the index value, and that value has to be added to the base address. So additional instruction has been inserted by the compiler for this operation. So that's why instead of going for indexing method for accessing the array element, better to traverse the array by incrementing the array pointer. This won't cost extra instruction. Okay, this is what the point you need to remember with respect to the short type arrays. So if you are going for 16-bit elements in the array, in that case, since LDRH instruction doesn't support scaled register offset or scaled immediate offset, better to go for traversing the array by incrementing the pointer itself. So post index method is supported, then compiler will make use of that post index method for accessing different elements in the array. Okay, this is about accessing the array element. And one last point you need to remember is avoid character and short data type for function arguments or return values. Instead, make use of integer data type, even though the range of the parameter is smaller. So even though you want 8-bit value to be used for performing the operation, load that 8-bit value to a 32-bit register. That means we need to take the data type as integer type whenever you are passing the function arguments. Okay, and the return value, let it be of integer type so that it won't cost extra instruction for casting. Okay, explicit casting, which increases the code size and reduces the performance. So that's what is mentioned as the last point. It prevents the compiler performing unnecessary casting. Okay, so with respect to the efficient use of C data types, these are the important points you need to remember. So this is one important topic which you have to go through in this unit. Okay, have you all followed this topic, whatever I discussed, efficient use of C data types? Is it clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.